Alright, here we are for a run and drive video of our 72 Cutlass. Got the left blinker going and the headlights on, just to show you that the turn signal cam and the steering column is in good shape. Had to hide a little bit of in the shade here so you can see the lights working, and you'll be able to hear the cam click off like it should. Nothing broken in there. Running nice and smooth. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit the road. I'll go ahead and pop the hood here real quick. So you can see she's not shaking, not leaking anything. You know, it's it's kind of like a blank canvas that's kind of already painted. It's kind of depending on what angle you want to go on this. The e-brake does work, but the e-brake light still stays on when you disengage it. Clock does not work, but you'll see the turn signals. Speedometer, odometer work. Assuming the other lights work, fuel gauge works, about quarter tank.
Well, actually, there may be some people who are very
Stereo works.
Behind fuel on Sunday, and
Heater works nice. You'll hear the fan, hopefully. I'll be real quiet. All different levels. All the sliders work. They are missing little chrome little guys that go with them, but it's original glass. You can see the antenna on the windshield. It runs nice and smooth. Doesn't load up. Nothing, no issues like that. You know, dome light works when you open it up. Seat belts are still up there. Go low. It's not hot out, but it stays dry, so I don't want to roach out the wipers. Rear window. There she goes. So super cool. So this car obviously does have needs. It's always been fired up and driven kind of around, you know, local distances, but it has been sitting for the most part in the garage for, you know, kind of since the 80s. It does have old, you know, bias ply tires. If you've never had bias ply tires, it kind of sounds odd, but they need to warm up. They're not radial, so they get flat spots from sitting. So these tires do ride a little rough. The car does, you know, going at higher speeds, kind of move around. Just kind of feels a little bit weird, floaty, just because the shocks are probably old, but more than likely it's just the tires. But again, my plans for this thing, and if it doesn't sell, still is you know, I was gonna yard the brakes, go through all the brakes, clean up the motor, reseal it if it needs any valve cover gaskets, anything like that. I was gonna do Flowmaster exhaust because it obviously needs exhaust, and maybe throw some headers on there depending on how I feel, and a cam. And then I was gonna jump down to suspension, do Hotchkiss suspension. I missed my turn there, so we're gonna do a UB. But that's what happens when you start talking on these things. But and then I was gonna do 18 or 20-inch US mag wheels. They look a lot like the Chevy Chevelle SS wheel. They look a lot like the 442 Rally, the Magnum 500 Ford Rally. It's kind of like a wheel that looks just killer, from a Mustang to a Chevelle. And that was going to be my goals for it. Get it down to the ground, get that stance. Wheels and tires is everything on these older cars. We're just going to go ahead and go this route, and I'll take you down here. But it's kind of, you know, I love it's got some bumps and bruises. You know, all of the floorboard's in great shape. Rockers are incredible. It's got a little bit of rust in the bottom of the fenders. I don't know necessarily if you can ever kind of get away from that. So this is why it's being listed as a project car. Is so you can see it's got nice turning radius. It's really easy to turn. I mean, the steering on this thing is just like butter. But you know, it's, if you want to keep the car the way it looks and you want to go like stock, you're gonna wanna you know, take it in somewhere if you're not a wrench, or bring it into your own shop and spend a weekend on it. Go over it. You know, it's the tires, you do the brakes, just because you want some fresh stuff. You know, it's disc brakes up front. You know, I'm sure if you start driving this thing as is, you know, you kind of get some caliper lock and stuff like that. But it's goes through all the gears. Doesn't have a tach, so hopefully, not sure if you could hear it changing the gears or not. but it's not pulling in any direction. You know, it's going nice and straight. You know, I'm doing 40. But you will hit a bump once in a while, and it kind of will joggle and shake a little bit. And again, that's why it's you know, getting listed as a project car, just because everybody's intention is different. If I was going to sell this as just a, you know, mint survivor, if the body was just primo, yeah, we'd go through and make sure, you know, replace the brakes, something like that. But more likely, it's going to be a man or woman that's got kind of my same vision, or they want to do a full restoration on it. So we would replace the exhaust with the stock exhaust, and they throw some MagnaFlow or Flowmasters on there, and it's just kind of a waste of time and effort. So I'd rather sell it for a little cheaper, let somebody put their spin on it, put their character on it, and let this car finally really live after all these years. These cars are just, I mean, any wagon nowadays is just crazy hard to find, but I am taking you through these corners because you can see it's just got really tight 90s. If you guys have seen any of my other videos, this is my, I call it my tester road. I get a vehicle, I head down this road. It's got potholes, patches, bumps, uneven pavement, new pavement, old pavement, really tight 90s so you can hear any clunking. Some of the corners are banked, so it puts good pressure on the ball joints and tie rods so you can hear noises pop. There's bumps there. And, you know, it's overall a pretty drive. It's this nice little country road. It's, you know, fall time. But this car would really just be killer to just make a nice little pro touring, little family hauler, or, you know, parts getter going to the swap meet, or if you got puppies and dogs, if you know, you just fold down that bad seat, and I mean, you got basically a pickup back there. So I'm gonna get out, and we're gonna get crazy. We're gonna get down the highway here, just to show you. You know, it's can be a little dodgy. It can be, you know, got some older stuff on it, but, you know, I'm not afraid to get on the highway and of risk of breaking down or anything. It's just, you know, if you've ever had an older car, you know, even nowadays, 80s, I guess, but, you know, really 70s, 60s and older that hasn't been a daily driver or hasn't been taken out every week, you expect the same type of stuff. You know, take it to the house, walk around it a few times, get it up in the air, get underneath it, look around, fire it up, do some stuff to it, and then kind of come up with your game plan. You know, if you already have a game plan, this thing shows up, you know, when it gets to your house, just get the wrenches out, get the parts on that you ordered, and get this thing cranking. So it's got nice throttle response. I mean, it's real crisp. I mean, it had to have been driven on a regular basis because the carburetor is really spot on. It doesn't sputter, doesn't load up, doesn't hiccup, doesn't backfire. The only thing we've really done to it is, since it was up on the hoist, you know, one thing it could benefit from, of course, is doing a tune-up, do all that good stuff. But it actually runs good. But we did do an oil change, just because I hate the look of sending a rig out with dirty oil and oil filter. So up on the lift, it probably, I don't think I had the oil change done then. I think I did it after the video. So, you know, you'll see the tires are a little bit bouncy, but really this thing, you know, you see my hand a little bit, and that's just the tires. They're bias ply, they don't run that great at all. So go ahead and give it a look as. Nice downshift and upshift. I mean, this thing would be so fun. It's like I just fall in love with this thing all over again, even with the bumpy tires and some of the exhaust leaking. It's like, you don't get any fumes in here though. I'm not getting any exhaust fumes. You know, it doesn't have a temperature gauge, but it is up to temp. Heater's working killer. You know, and I'm not nervous. I'm not white knuckling it, praying to make it back. It's a good little cruiser. And I've had it out a handful of times. I think I've owned it about 5.5 months. Of course, the original plan was, oh yeah, jump on it this summer and be cruising it, but life just happens, and I got a couple more projects that are a little bit more pushing. I've had it for a longer period of time, and, you know, I want to start making some memories with my kids and those ones. But again, if it doesn't sell, it's going to go into the hoarders list. So, all right, everybody, good